Have you ever paused, alone in the quiet of your mind, and asked yourself why you said yes when a part of you wanted to say no? Why you followed paths that seemed inevitable, even when a small, insistent voice inside whispered resistance? Why we are drawn to people, ideas, and choices that, in hindsight, may not serve us at all? These are not failures of will. They are the essence of being human. Invisible currents flow through our lives every day, nudging our decisions before our conscious mind even notices. We like to believe that we are rational, that our choices are deliberate, that our intentions always align with our actions. Yet much of what we call decision-making is guided by forces we rarely see, forces both natural and social, forces both protective and manipulative. Dr. Robert B. Cialdini's influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, illuminates these hidden currents, reminding us that awareness is not only power, it is freedom. Imagine, for a moment, the intricate web of interactions that shapes your life. Every yes or no, every choice you make, whether a small favor you grant to a stranger or a life-altering decision in your career, is influenced by unseen threads. Some of these threads guide, protect, and help you navigate. Others manipulate, steer, and exploit. And the trickiest part? You often don't even notice them. As Carl Jung wisely said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Awareness is the light that exposes these currents. It is the gentle but unwavering gaze that shows which choices are authentically yours and which have been shaped by forces outside of conscious observation. Now, having sensed these currents beneath the surface of your awareness, let us journey deeper. Let us explore how these forces operate, why they shape us, and how we can reclaim choice and agency in the spaces they influence. This is where the journey begins, a journey from subtle recognition to conscious mastery. Session 1. Understanding Human Nature. Humans are not purely rational beings. Much of what we call conscious choice is automatic, a product of unconscious patterns shaped by evolution, habit, and social conditioning. Our minds rely on shortcuts, heuristics, to navigate daily life efficiently. These shortcuts help us survive, make decisions quickly, and respond to the world without constant deliberation. But the same shortcuts also make us predictable and susceptible to influence. Consider the simple ways you navigate life. You may follow a routine because it is comfortable, say yes to requests because it feels polite, or trust someone's opinion because they appear confident. These are ordinary moments, but each is shaped by principles of influence, often without your awareness. Social proof, authority, scarcity, reciprocity, consistency, liking, and unity are forces that quietly guide behavior, influencing choices from the trivial to the profound. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By observing the patterns in your own mind, you begin to reclaim power, transforming automatic responses into conscious actions. Awareness is not immediate mastery. It is the first step, the foundation upon which intentional living is built. Session 2. The Principles of Influence. Cialdini identifies 7 pillars of influence that operate silently in our lives, shaping decisions often before we notice. 1. Reciprocity. We are wired to return favors. A small gift, a compliment, or a concession creates a subtle obligation in the mind of the recipient. Think about the times you felt compelled to say yes after someone did something for you, even when it was inconvenient. This is reciprocity at work, a principle both ancient and universal. 2. Commitment and consistency. Once we commit, consciously or unconsciously, we seek to act in alignment with that commitment. Even small initial agreements can snowball into long-term behavior patterns. Our desire to remain consistent is natural, but it can also lock us into choices we might not fully endorse. 3. Social proof. We look to others when uncertain, mimicking behaviors of those around us. This is why trends, peer pressure, and popularity are so compelling. When everyone seems to do something, our mind interprets it as a signal of correctness, safety, or desirability. 4. Authority. Humans defer to perceived expertise or status. Titles, uniforms, and credentials automatically signal trustworthiness. Authority guides learning, cooperation, and social order, but it can also manipulate if unexamined. 5. Liking. We are influenced by those we like, admire, or feel connected to. This principle explains why charisma, empathy, and personal connection amplify persuasion, while dislike or indifference diminishes it. 6. Scarcity. Rarity heightens desire. When opportunities or resources are limited, we value them more, often beyond rational measure. Scarcity is not inherently manipulative. It is a signal deeply wired into human psychology. 7. Unity. The principle of shared identity. We respond strongly to those who feel like one of us. Shared language, culture, or values creates trust and compliance, demonstrating the power of belonging. Viktor Frankl reminds us, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. That space, the gap between influence and reaction, is where your agency lives. You can respond consciously or allow unconscious forces to steer your choices. Understanding these principles is the first step towards reclaiming that freedom. Session 3. The unconscious pull. Most decisions we think are conscious are actually influenced unconsciously. Our attention is guided, our emotions nudged, and our actions subtly shaped before we even notice. Advertisements, peer behaviors, workplace dynamics, and even casual compliments can guide our actions automatically. Consider how often your mind rationalizes choices after the fact. You may believe you acted independently, yet your decision followed a predictable pattern of influence. This is not failure, it is human nature. It is what allows society to function, relationships to stabilize, and culture to transmit knowledge. But unawareness can leave you acting by default. Socrates warned the unexamined life is not worth living. Becoming aware of these unconscious forces transforms passive compliance into active, intentional choice. You begin to see the invisible strings, to question their direction, and to step into the role of observer and actor simultaneously. Awareness converts automaticity into agency. Session 4. Reflection on identity and habits. Repeated actions shape identity over time. Each automatic yes, every habitual response, and all assumed loyalties quietly craft the narrative of who we are. The small choices you make daily compound into patterns, which eventually define your habits, your values, and even your sense of self. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Reflection allows you to see which patterns serve you and which are the result of unconscious influence. Pausing creates an opening for change. Influence, once perceived as external manipulation, becomes a mirror reflecting your inner tendencies. By observing, questioning, and adjusting, you can align behavior with authentic values rather than unconscious pressures. Session 5. Awareness as the shield. Awareness is the ultimate shield against manipulation and unconscious compliance. Pausing, reflecting, and questioning impulses allow you to regain agency. Seneca wrote, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." In moments of pause, you reclaim choice. Awareness allows you to navigate the subtle currents of influence rather than being swept away by them. Automatic responses give way to deliberate action. Small acts of reflection compound over time, building freedom,
intentionality, and strength. Session 6. Influence as Opportunity. Understanding influence is not only defensive, it is empowering. Knowledge of the principles allows ethical persuasion, effective communication, and conscious guidance of others. More importantly, it provides insight into yourself, your fears, desires, and recurring patterns. By observing and choosing consciously, influence transforms from a force that shapes you into a tool you can wield to navigate life intentionally. Every moment of reflection, every pause before action becomes an opportunity to assert your autonomy. Session 7. Gentle Confrontation, Claiming Your Life. Ignoring these principles is a form of surrender. Living unconsciously leads to regret, misaligned habits, and relationships that drain rather than nourish. The most persuasive voice in your life must be your own. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Cialdini teaches that awareness is freedom, reflection is mastery, and pause is the foundation of sovereignty. Notice subtle forces, question automatic yeses, and reclaim your life with deliberate attention. Session 8. Closing Reflection, Living Intentionally. When this audio ends, take a moment to sit quietly. Reflect on the invisible currents shaping your choices, the habits that guide your actions, and the commitments assumed automatically. Pause, observe, choose consciously. Step into intentional living, guided by reflection, awareness, and deliberate action. Influence surrounds you, yet your mind, attentive, conscious, sovereign, can remain free. The ultimate lesson of influence is this: recognize the unseen, reclaim agency, and live fully and deliberately. Awareness is your compass, reflection your guide, and intention your anchor in a world of invisible currents.
Her 7 husbands serve as milestones, mirrors, and lessons. Each relationship teaches her something about power, love, ambition, and the cost of desire. Evelyn is strategic, yet she is also shaped by emotion. The tension between these forces, the calculated and the heartfelt, defines her life. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Evelyn's strength is in her clarity, her ability to navigate a world that wants to limit her, and in her willingness to claim her narrative regardless of consequence. Session 2. Love, Ambition, and the Many Faces of Desire. Evelyn's love life is not simple. Each husband represents a different facet of her desire, a different lesson in power and vulnerability. Some are companions, others tools, some true love, others convenience. Her story asks the listener to reflect. How far would you go to achieve your dreams? How much of your heart would you risk or sacrifice? Love is never simple, particularly when ambition pulls in conflicting directions. Evelyn shows us that desire can be both liberating and binding. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Evelyn's why is ambition, autonomy, and truth. Her how, the marriages, alliances, and risks, is her navigation of a world that rarely accommodates unapologetic women. Her choices are strategic, yet they never fully erase her vulnerability or humanity. Through Evelyn, we see the tension between the self we present to the world and the self we know in our private moments. This tension is not shameful, it is human, and it resonates with anyone who has ever struggled to reconcile desire, ambition, and authenticity. Session 3. Secrets, Scandal, and the Weight of Choice. Evelyn's life is built on secrets.
Every marriage, every decision, every public smile is a carefully curated performance. These secrets are her armor, but they are also her burden. They protect her, but they isolate her. They allow survival, but at the cost of intimacy. We all carry secrets, though ours are smaller in scale. Secrets conceal desire, mistakes, vulnerabilities. Evelyn's choices amplify this dynamic, but they also make it universal. How often do we hide pieces of ourselves to protect what matters or to survive a world that judges us? Seneca reminds us, "The mind that is anxious about the future is miserable." Evelyn's life illustrates the tension of knowing that exposure is inevitable, yet being determined to live fully despite it. The cost of secrecy is isolation, but the mastery comes from knowing which truths to reveal and which to guard. Her story asks us to reflect. Which parts of yourself do you hide, and why? Which secrets protect you, and which imprison you? The weight of hidden truths shapes our choices, our loves, and our sense of self, and Evelyn teaches us to navigate this weight with grace and intention. Session 4. Identity and the Masks We Wear. Evelyn Hugo's life is a continuous negotiation between who she is, who she must appear to be, and who the world wants her to be. She wears masks, crafts identities, and learns to move through social expectation with precision. Yet, even as she performs, the essence of Evelyn, her ambition, her desires, her principles, remains intact. She is defined not by what the world believes, but by the clarity she has about herself. Aristotle said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." Evelyn demonstrates that wisdom is not just awareness of the self, but the courage to act in alignment with it. Her husbands serve as mirrors of her identity, each reflecting different aspects of her ambition, her love, her vulnerabilities, and her capacity for growth. By observing our own masks in life, we can understand where we conform to expectations and where we act from authenticity. Evelyn's life challenges us to examine our own patterns and ask, are we living deliberately or performing to survive? Session 5. Fame, Power, and the Cost of Being Seen. Being seen is both a gift and a burden. Evelyn's fame allows her influence, admiration, and power, but it also makes her life a spectacle. Every decision, every marriage, every betrayal, every triumph is scrutinized. Viktor Frankl reminds us, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Evelyn's challenge is to navigate visibility without surrendering her inner life. Fame amplifies both freedom and constraint, showing that visibility always comes with a cost. Evelyn teaches that authenticity requires courage. To live fully under the gaze of the world, one must hold inner clarity. She reminds us that ambition and visibility can coexist with integrity, but only when we are conscious of the choices we make and the lives we touch. Session 6. Reflection on Love, Ambition, and Regret. The story of Evelyn Hugo is, at its heart, a meditation on choice, consequence, and reflection. Each marriage, each romantic entanglement, each ambition pursued brings rewards and costs.
Carl Jung said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Evelyn awakens by understanding her own heart, her desires, regrets, and triumphs, and by facing the life she intentionally built. Her story asks the listener, where have you compromised authenticity for ambition? Where have you pursued desire without regard for consequence? And, importantly, where can courage, reflection, and honesty guide you to live more fully? Evelyn's life is not just entertainment, it is a mirror. It forces us to confront the complexity of ambition and love, and it challenges us to reconcile both in our own lives. Session 7: Legacy, Truth, and the Power of Storytelling. Evelyn Hugo claims her story not through fame alone, but through the narrative she chooses to share. By recounting her life to Monique, she exerts control over her legacy, shaping how she will be remembered. Nietzsche reminds us, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Evelyn's why, the pursuit of love on her own terms, the unflinching embrace of ambition, and the desire to remain authentic, guides the how. Her marriages, her risks, her triumphs, and her choices in a world that judges women harshly. Evelyn's story teaches us that narrative is agency. We all have the power to define our own stories, to decide which truths to share and which to hold sacred. In doing so, we claim freedom, integrity, and the ability to live deliberately. Session 8: Closing Reflection, Living with Intention. As this audio concludes, take a deep breath and reflect. Think of Evelyn Hugo, not the public persona, not the glittering fame, not the scandals, but the complexity, courage, and authenticity of her choices. Consider your own life. Where do you wear masks to satisfy others? Where have ambition and desire pulled you in conflicting directions? Where are the secrets you carry, and what do they cost you? The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo leaves us with one profound truth. To live fully, you must embrace your choices, understand your motivations, and claim your narrative. Reflection, courage, and honesty are the anchors that allow us to navigate ambition, love, and desire without losing ourselves. Evelyn Hugo teaches us that life is not only about the choices we make, but how we understand, reconcile, and claim them. To live deliberately is to look inward, to reflect, and to act with intention. The story of Evelyn is a mirror, and the question it leaves us with is simple yet profound. Who are you when no one is watching?